You've probably seen in the news the headlines about a new 22% tax charge on ISAs. But ISAs are supposed to be tax-free, right? Well, the government, in their wisdom, have decided to tax you yet again. However, I'm going to show you why I'm not concerned myself, and how it won't really affect a dividend investing strategy anyway. I'll also show you a possible interesting feature that means you might not even have to pay the 22% tax if you're using a Trading 212 ISA. So, pop the kettle on and make a mug of your favourite brew while I show you how investing in dividend stocks can start paying your bills too. Hello and welcome to Invest Tea. I'm a UK-based investor who is trying to replace my payslip with a passive income through investing in dividend-paying stocks. Before we get into the video though, a quick reminder. This is not financial advice, just purely my interpretation of how I will be affected and speculation of how things might work. So, you may be panicking right now that your ISA is going to be taxed. And that's understandable, because well, the media. The headlines can be very sensational, so first let's break down exactly what this 22% tax is. Firstly, don't panic. Nothing is changing until next tax year, starting on the 6th of April 2027, and these changes only apply to you if you're under 65. The background to this is that the government wants to promote investing in the stock market, rather than just holding cash. And this is for good reason, as it will inject more investment into the economy. But also, as an individual investing in the stock market, it will almost certainly give you better returns than holding just cash. Of course, there are valid reasons for holding cash, such as risk management and better liquidity for short-term access. But rather than use some kind of carrot to promote investing, the government are instead using the stick of tax to penalise those of you who do want to hold cash. To meet their objective, the government will first reduce the cash ISA limit to £12,000. The overall limit still remains at £20,000, meaning if you want to use your whole allowance, you would need to put £12,000 in a cash ISA and the remaining £8,000 in a stocks and shares ISA. So why not just hold that £8,000 as cash in the stocks and shares ISA? I mean, Trading 212, for example, pays interest on cash in their stocks and shares ISA. Well, the government thought of this and will also introduce the anti-circumvention rules. The main core measures that the anti-circumvention rules introduce are the 22% tax charge on interest earned on cash held in stocks and shares ISAs. They also ban transfers of cash from non-cash ISA to a cash ISA, meaning you can't deposit your 20k allowance into a stocks and shares ISA, then transfer it into a cash ISA to get around the 12k limit. Then the other core anti-circumvention rule is that portfolios made up of 100% cash-like assets, such as money market funds, will not be qualified investments. This I assume to mean that if you invest purely in a money market fund, then any earnings will be taxed at the 22% rate, as if it was interest on cash. Now hold that thought, as I'll come back to money market funds later in the video. The 22% tax will only apply to interest earned. It's not a tax on the overall cash balance, which is where I think some people may be getting confused. Of course, not helped by the media. So, for example, if you held £1,000 of cash in a Trading 212 stocks and shares ISA, it would earn approximately £38 per year interest, based on the interest rate when recording this video. With the tax applied, you would only see £29.64 of that. What about the personal savings allowance, you ask? Well, this is a flat rate tax, so the personal savings allowance does not apply, unfortunately. How will it be collected? We'll have to wait and see, but I suspect the ISA provider will collect it on behalf of the government. Hopefully, that will be it, and there will not be additional tax returns to have to complete. As a dividend investor though, I don't care about this tax. I don't want to be holding cash. I want my cash invested in stocks so that it starts earning dividends. The only cash I will be holding will be either any balance following a deposit but before any shares are purchased, or any cash from dividends received before being reinvested. Typically, I can't see a scenario where I would have cash for more than a few weeks, if not days, and the amounts are likely to be small. I currently invest £150 a month, so the interest on this would be tiny and the tax even smaller. My Trading 212 ISA currently pays 3.8% on cash balances, which for £150 is about £5.25 annual interest, or about 1.4 pence per day. At a 22% tax rate, this is less than a third of a pence per day. What if you do want to hold a large cash sum, perhaps for an emergency fund? You could just use a cash ISA where the tax doesn't apply. £12,000 would cover about 4.5 months for someone with the median salary of just over 39k. Or you could use a non-ISA savings account. Using a regular savings account means any interest will be subject to tax, but this can be offset against your personal savings allowance, meaning you could hold £20,000 before having to pay any tax on interest earned, assuming a 5% interest rate. And if you use Trading 212, you can also turn off interest completely. But this does mean you'd be getting nothing, and I'd rather have 78% of something. But there may be another way. Recall the rule about money market funds. According to the anti-circumvention rules, so long as your portfolio won't be 100% in money market funds, which will be the case for a dividend investor, the income from these is not subject to the 22% tax. You are, however, back to the problem of still holding a small cash balance while you invest in these funds though. If you have a Trading 212 stocks and shares ISA and look at the detail of how they pay interest, you'll see that they actually invest your cash in both banks earning traditional interest, but also money market funds. Now this is where I'll speculate. If Trading 212 can either change the way they invest your cash so that it's only placed in money market funds, or at least give that as an option to choose from, it may be possible that the tax won't apply, because behind the scenes it's actually invested in money market funds, which is allowed. We will of course have to wait and see what happens here, but this would be a great option as it automatically takes care of investing in money market funds for you with no cash balance to worry about. What is the key takeaway? It's don't panic, do not change your strategy, and keep on investing. For a dividend investor, the new 22% tax really has very little impact on your returns. I'm going to carry on investing every month in my diverse dividend paying portfolio and not going to worry at all. The dividend income will easily dwarf any interest income in the long run. Hopefully you found that useful, or at least given you something to research yourself. Why not comment on what your thoughts are and how you are planning to deal with a 22% ISA tax? I would be very grateful if you could subscribe, as that means you will also be notified when I release my next update. My June dividend update video should be out very soon. Until next time, keep investing and goodbye.